Hello everyone, this is Lynn with our weekly Q&A. And today we're going to talk about a hotly discussed topic, which is Hong Kong's national securities law that was announced a few days ago, and its meaning for the HSZ China Fund. If you haven't already done so, hit the subscribe button to follow us. This week, we have our CEO Stefan Kräuchi on the line. Stefan, for those who are not familiar with Hong Kong's situation, would you start by explaining quickly what the basic law is and how the national securities law fits into it?
It comes from the joint declaration signed between China and Great Britain in 1984. That declaration laid out the framework for China's relationship to Hong Kong after the 1997 handover. Under the principle of one country, two systems, established by Deng Xiaoping, Hong Kong's capitalist system and way of life is to remain unchanged until 2047. The basic law is Hong Kong's mini constitution. It states the relationship between Hong Kong and the Chinese central government, and it protects human rights such as freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and equality before the law.
So, what is the national securities law about?
Under Article 23 of the Basic Law, the Hong Kong government must enact its own national security law prohibiting acts of treason, secession, sedition, subversion, or theft of state secrets, and prohibit political organizations from the regions from establishing ties with foreign political entities.
Why did it take so long for Hong Kong to make a national securities law, and why now?
A first attempt to introduce a national securities law was shelved in 2003 after massive street protests. Since then, no Hong Kong government has made another effort. Pressure to bring in the legislation has been mounting since protests erupted in June last year, initially over the now withdrawn extradition bill. The protest subsequently developed into fully fledged anti-government protests and seriously impacted the Hong Kong economy and led to a large divide among Hong Kongers.
Was US involvement a factor in the introduction of the national securities law?
As long as the protests were a local matter, Beijing was patiently looking on. But when Hong Kong activists started to call for US support in 2019, and US Congress enacted the Hong Kong Human Rights and Democracy Act, Beijing's patience ran out. China was not willing to accept foreign interference within its territory. As a result, a resolution paving the way for the legislation has been presented on May 22nd to the National People's Congress.
Is Beijing's introduction of the national securities law legal?
Under Article 18 of the Basic Law, mainland Chinese law can only be applied in Hong Kong if they are listed in Annex 3 of the Basic Law and relate to defense, foreign affairs, and other matters outside the limits of the city's autonomy. The amendment of Annex 3 seems to be the route China is taking.
These seem to be profound developments for the region. So what does that mean for the HSZ China Fund?
With regards to the HSZ China Fund, there are two aspects to be considered. First, what does it mean for the business of the companies that we own in the HSZ China Fund? And secondly, what is the short-term impact of the share price of the companies that we own? With regards to the underlying business of our holdings, there are two factors at play. On one hand, the deglobalization and the reduction in global trade, which are negative. On the other hand, as China is decoupling from the US, China becomes more self-reliant, which will give a big boost, for example, to the high-tech industry, as national champions will have to be developed that can substitute US-sourced components. Moreover, other companies will flourish in the absence of foreign competition in the Chinese domestic markets. Since the focus in the HSZ China Fund is on domestic China rather than export, this will be a positive factor for us. With regards to the share prices of the companies in our portfolio, we expect some short-term pressure as some US investors might be inclined to sell their Chinese stock holdings. This impact will, however, be temporarily, and if anything, represent an excellent opportunity to add or buy positions in the HSZ China Fund.
That's about all the time we have for today's Q&A. Many thanks, Stefan, for that analysis. And for the viewers, thank you for watching. Stay tuned as we follow the developments, and we hope to see you back here again next week.